Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are from the group 3, and in this today's class, we will present to you our group topic, which is Islam and International Relation Contribution through Theory and Practice. But before we jump into the deeper discussion, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Anindita Rifa Warzana, and we have also Utin Aulia Rahma and Adisti Putri Shafira. So next, we're going to the discussion, which is the introduction. So in the first discussion, we're going to talk about the introduction. As we know, the world is made up of different cultures and belief systems. These differences shape how countries see the world and how they interact with each other. In the case of Muslim majority countries, there are nearly 50 of them. They all share Islamic root. But that doesn't mean they all apply Islamic principle in the same way in a foreign policy. Their approaches can vary depending on culture, politics, and also history. Now, what makes the Islamic perspective unique is that it's based on core values found in the Quran and the teaching of Prophet Muhammad. These values like justice, respect for human dignity, peaceful coexistence, and honesty are meant to guide not only personal behavior but also how nations deal with one another. Islam don't see international relations as just a power games or political deals. Instead, it teaches that dealing with others, even other nations, should be done with fairness, integrity, and mutual respect. It encourages honoring agreements, resolving conflict peacefully, and accepting religious and cultural diversity. Islamic international relations are about bringing moral responsibility into global politics. It's not just about what benefits a country in the short term, but what is right and just in the bigger picture. So, for the next slide, my friend will explain to you.
So this slide is about how Islamic teachings guide the way countries should interact with one another. Instead of focusing on power or self-interest, Islam encourages a more ethical and respectful approach to international relations. These values come from the Quran and the example of the Prophet Muhammad, emphasizing things like justice, human dignity, peaceful living, and respect for different cultures and backgrounds. The idea is that diplomacy should be rooted in fairness, honesty, and keeping promise, not in rivalry or trying to dominate others. Of course, not every Muslim majority country follow this principle in the same way, but the core message remains good relationships based on mutual respect and responsibility. So I want to explain what the main point about Islamic way of thinking and knowing is that Islam teaches us to put values first, always choose what's right over what is safe or profitable. So our understanding comes from the Quran, the Prophet's teaching and Sunnah, and our Islamic traditions. It reminds us to live with justice, kindness, and peace. Even if it's hard, we are taught to stand up for what's right, even if it means going against ourselves. So in this slide, look at how Islamic principles can create international relations in a practical way. So I want to explain. The first is dialogue is really about building bridges, talking to understand each other without falling into extremes. And the second is treaties matter a lot in Islam. They are not just agreements, they are sacred promises that help keep us as mentioned in the Quran. So the third is justice means doing what's right, even when it's hard. It puts fairness and human rights before personal or national gain. And the last is defense comes with balance in Islam encourage peace first, but also being prepared to protect that peace if needed, like it says in the Quran. So this slide highlights how Islam encourages ethical behavior, especially in dealing with other nations. It sees international relations as a responsibility, not just strategic. The values it promotes, like fairness, keeping promise, and resolving conflict peacefully, are meant to be realistic and applicable, not just idealistic. It's all about approaching global issues with a strong sense of justice and integrity.
Okay guys, I will explain about practical and behavioral fundamentals, the strategies. The first one is a dialogue. Dialogue, respect-based principle, mutual respect in Islam. Dialogue must be conducted with respect for the other party. The Quran teaches that dialogue should be free from intolerance, extremism, and prejudice. This created space for constructive communication where each side feels valued and heard. And the second, justice and rights. The concept of right, hak in Islam. The word of hak appears 24/7 times in Al-Quran, covering the rights of individuals, groups, and government. In a broader context, this right is known as hakun nas, human right. This concept encompasses all aspects of human life, both material and non-material. The Prophet Muhammad was very concerned about protecting the rights of others and emphasizes that every individual has rights that must be guarded by others. Imam Ali argued that every human being is obligated to safeguard the rights of others with the expression of the rights of God. And the third is retaliation. Retaliation within a moral framework. Retaliation is recognized as a principle in Islamic international relation, but it is not absolute. It must be applied within the framework of morality and justice, limited to certain conditions. The Quran emphasizes the importance of adhering to justice even when taking retaliation. And the next is a preventive defense. Islam strongly emphasizes the values of peace, friendship, and peaceful. Consistent nonetheless, the principle of renewal of force of preventive purpose is recognized as an important step in maintaining security. This renewal is not meant for operation, but rather for defense and the deterrence purpose. And the last is a treatise between different parties. Covenant is Islam do not only apply between Muslims but also include interaction with non-Muslim. Imam Ali argued that treaties should be observed even with enemy, as violation of treaties can disrupt social peace and security. This shows that dialogue and cooperation between different religions and ethnic groups is essential to achieve peaceful coexistence. Okay guys, next is a key example, the Medina Charter. One of the earliest and most important examples of Islamic commitment to terrorists is the Medina Charter, established by Prophet Muhammad. This agreement created a multi-religious political communication in Medina, ensuring mutual protection, justice, and cooperation between Muslims, Jews, and other tribes. It emphasizes the sanctity of the covenants, peaceful, consistent, and respect for diversity of core Islamic values that remain relevant in modern international relations.
In conclusion, it's clear that the foreign policies of most modern Muslim countries aren't fully grounded in Islamic teachings, which often leaves them playing a passive role in international relations. While early Islamic texts offer guidance on how international relations should ideally be conducted, we haven't yet developed a comprehensive Islamic theory for today's world. Because of this, Muslim countries tend to follow framework created by non-Muslim powers, mostly from the West. However, there are real opportunity here by integrating Islamic values such as justice, human dignity, and moral responsibility into global diplomacy. We can create a more just and powerful world. Islam perspective on politics and international relations is rooted in human rights and equality for all people regardless of their faith. So, if we combine these values with the current international framework, we can contribute to a more rational, harmonious world. I think that's all from our presentation. Thank you for your time, and I hope this discussion can spark more your thought about our topic today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.